I'm gonna have to get rid of this. I don't like having this Ford Motorcraft stuff laying around in my shop. Straight to the trash. Yeah, I'm gonna burn it. Hi guys, welcome to the Montana Garage. If you're one of my regular viewers, and I appreciate you, both of you, this video is going to be a little different than the rest of them. I'm not working on this junk over here, and I'm not working on this junk over here. We got some other stuff going on today. And if you're one of the guys that found me because you typed something like my 7.3 diesel is garbage or my Powerstroke is junk into the Google machine, well, thanks for stopping by. Hopefully I can help you out with that. Because today, we got to address some issues on the old 02 Powerstroke work truck I got here. Let's see what we got going on. So this thing crapped out on me about, I don't know, about a month and a half ago. It was running fine. She's well used, 420-ish thousand miles on her. 7.3 diesel, it's an 02. It was running fine, and then just all of a sudden, it starts running really rough. Really just missing really bad, like almost like it's running on 4 cylinders or something. So I limped it home, and it's been sitting here for like a month and a half because I haven't had time or weather to be able to get some work done on it. So today we're going to see, it's a little nicer out. It looks nice, and it is nice and sunny, but it's balmy. It's about 25 degrees out here, so it's still a little brisk, but it's going to be a nice day. So we're going to tackle this and see if we can't get her serviceable again. All right, so we're in the cab of this fine machine. I'm going to fire it up and see if we can't show you folks what it's doing here. Wait for the little glow plug action. I did start it up a second ago, so I know it will at least start. Like I say, it's a little chilly out, so it was a little hard starting the first time, but she should fire up. All right, it's a little cold, but basically that's a normal idle. So it seems to be running fine right now, but if I wait a minute or so just wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. And there we go. We're about a little less than 2 minutes in. It just kind of falls on its face. Still runs, but it's really rough. If we're looking at the engine right now, it's really shaking. Like I say, I'm not a diesel guy, but to me it sounds like it's just, if it was a regular engine, I'd say it's running on about half its cylinders. I mean, that's on the floor right there. She slowly idles up. I was able to limp this thing home like this from about 5 miles away when it happened, and I could go like 40 miles an hour on the floor. So what is it? So what do we think the problem is with the old girl? Well, I guess first of all, this is a good spot for me, if you haven't been here before, for me to give you my little disclaimer. I'm not a mechanic. I'm not an expert. I'm definitely not a diesel mechanic. I don't even know where the damn spark plugs are at. So that tells you what I know about the diesels. But, I like to tinker on things. I got a shop with some tools in it. And rather than just run down to the local, mechanic shop and give them $1,000, I like to at least try to figure it out myself first. So much like you folks that got here because of the Google machine, I know how to use the Google machine. So I type in some stuff like 7.3 running rough, whatever. I typed in a few different things, and I think thanks to everybody else's help out there, I've diagnosed what I believe is going to be wrong. So we're going to attack it here and see if we can figure it out. Now, my brother-in-law is a diesel mechanic that actually does know his shit. Unfortunately, he lives 5 hours away from me, and he's a super busy guy, and he's good for some help on the phone once in a while. Gives me a few things to start with. And so when this first happened, I talked to him first thing I did, and he said there's a real easy fix that it probably is going to be, and that is the first thing for you to look at if you're having this issue. This is something that's common, I guess, according to him, and it's a pretty easy fix. So if you get in here, this thing is a greasy, dirty mess. But oops, getting hung up here. There is, I'll show you again when I get some stuff moved out of the way. But there is a wiring harness that comes across. Dang, I can't even get to it. I guess right in there. Can you see that in there? You can see where my finger is, there's actually a wear mark on the valve cover where this wiring harness rubs on there. And it's pretty common for a wire to rub through, and then that shorts out your injector harness, I guess. And so that's what we think is going on, is the injector harness, you know, is losing power somehow. So of course that's a real easy fix. You look at that, there's a bare wire, you fix it. And of course, also the way my luck is, that is rubbing. I can see the rub mark, but the wires aren't rubbed through. So the real easy fix, as usual, is not my issue. I can't fix it that easy. All right, so the easy fix of the shorted wire isn't my issue. So the next thing my brother-in-law, the diesel mechanic, told me to do was to ohm out the injectors. So to do that, there's a little connector right down here on the valve cover. Need to get something to point with, but you can see right where the light's shining, where those wires are. So you take that clip apart, and then again, if you got this far and found me, then you know how to use the Google machine and the YouTube. There's 800 videos on YouTube about how to ohm those out. I'm not an expert, so I'm not going to explain it to you here, but I did what one of the videos told me, and that told me that they actually all were good, or they seemed good. I did both sides. So that kind of put me at a standstill, because I didn't really know what else to try. I was like, well, because my brother-in-law thought that either that wire over there was shorted out, or something in the under valve cover harness was loose or shorted out. And it's, when I tested, it says they're all fine. So that's where I left it about a month and a half ago. Haven't looked at it since. But as I just showed you with it running in there, it starts and runs fine for a minute or two, and then it all goes to hell. So I'm thinking, again, I'm just thinking, I don't know what I'm talking about. But being just running fine at first, whatever the issue is doesn't seem to be there. So I'm guessing that when I tested the harness, you know, it tested fine, and it is fine for a few minutes until something either rattles loose, or, you know, vibrates or shakes, or somehow something's losing connection in there, I'm thinking. So I think even though it tested fine, I'm still having the same issue that they think, you know, that he was saying, that it is something to do with the injector harness. So also more research on the YouTubes tells me that there's a little clip inside of there once you take the valve cover off, that they come loose right there, and there's a little trick you can use to put a quarter in there. So that's my attempted fix here. Again, I don't know if this is, you know, I might be wasting a whole day here, because it might not work, but from what the limited knowledge I have and my research, I'm going to assume that that's the problem, and I'm going to try to fix it. So now the next problem is, well, there's one here, you know, there's same thing on both sides. Each valve cover has an injector harness. And so, is it one of them? Is it both of them? So again, I found some research or some stuff on YouTube that you could tell which side it might be, because the temperature coming out of your, you know, exhaust. So the guy used like a little heat gun, zapped it in there, and, you know, it was so hot on one side and cooler on the other side. I don't have one of those. So I let it run for a little while. It was stumbling and bumbling like it was when I showed you here. I let it run for a few minutes, and then I came out here and, you know, maybe not try this at home, because I'm not the smartest guy out there and could burn yourself, I guess. But I just kind of, you know, carefully, not here, I touched on the exhaust manifold, just did a little tappy tap just to see how hot it was. Didn't want to burn my fingers off. But that side over there, pretty damn hot. I could touch it, but I didn't want to hold it on there very long. This side over here, I could just lay my hand on there and it was warm, but it wasn't burning me. So I'm going to assume that there's something wrong with this side over here, and we are going to tackle trying to take this valve cover off and get inside to that underwire harness and see if there's something loose in there, or use the little quarter trick that I'll show you when we get to that point. And we're going to hope that's going to fix our problem. So what do we got to do? We got to take the dang valve cover off. And to do that, we got a fair amount of stuff in the way. Obviously that's in the way, and that's in the way. Those things both move pretty easily. I'll get those out of the way, and then we'll see what else we got to do. I'm not going to do a step-by-step and show you how to do this, because like I already said, I don't really know how to do it. So if you want a step-by-step, you can, you know, find somewhere else. But I will set the tripod up, and I'll just show you me struggling to get this done. And it'll show you that even if you don't know what you're doing, you can eventually figure it out. So follow along, and we'll see how this turns out. All right, grab some tools. And of course, first thing I did is grab the wrong tools, because said, I've never done this before, so I don't know what size all this crap is. Back to the toolbox. And I guess I kind of lied when I said I've never done this. I haven't tackled this exact problem, but I have taken much of this top end apart before. I've changed the glow plugs in this thing, but that was a long time ago. I mean, 7, 8 years ago maybe. And I'm kind of old, so I remember doing it, but I don't really remember doing it, if you know what I mean. I know I did it, but I don't remember what I did. So it's kind of like I haven't done it before. Enough jabber jawing, let's get to work. All right, so after just a few minutes, we got a little bit of progress. We got the, I don't know, the air duct, I guess, out of the way. This is this big connection right here from your harness. So this is where I was saying, you can see right there is where it rubs on the valve cover. You can actually see the mark. Where's it at? Right there on my valve cover where it rubs. When I flip this around, and you can see where this is rubbing, and being I got it, I'll probably throw a little extra tape around there to make it last a few more years, but I'm not into any of the wires yet. So this, I guess, is a common problem on these things. So if you're having these issues, that's a good place to start. Be an easy thing to find and fix. All right, so I got a few more things to get out of the way, and we'll keep on chucking along. All right, so again, after just a few minutes, it looks worse than it is. There's really, you know, just the air vent and this charge pipe, I guess, whatever they're called, and this wire harness to get out of the way. And I think I can pretty much get to the valve cover now. I did manage to cut my finger pretty good on this tin coating on this charge pipe thing, so be careful of that. Anyways, I'm gonna grab a rag, a couple rags, I guess, throwing this charge pipe here and the other end of the turbo there, and try to blow a little bit of the dirt and grime off of here before I start busting the valve cover loose. And then we'll figure it out. It looks like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 11, depending on how the bolts are on the far end there. Might have to be a bit of a contortionist to get to a couple of them, but I'm sure it can all be done. So we'll get some more tools and get going on that. And maybe we'll grab a Band-Aid too. Mercy, someone's bleeding. Probably should have plugged that hole up too, huh? We'll just try not to blow a bunch of shit in there. Alright, I guess that's about as good as it's gonna get. Anybody know what size those are? 13 M&Ms if you're wondering. That's what size they are. Looks like a guy might need a couple different extensions. Maybe some sort of a swivel doohickey jobber back there, we'll see. Let's start wrenching and get this bad boy off here. Anybody else got teenagers? I am not super organized with my tools, but I got one drawer for all my metrics. And to be honest with you, I haven't really had metrics till recently. Not that long ago, I bought a set. And so, magically, I have every one except for the 13 that I need. So that means, I guess I could have lost it somewhere, but I doubt if I've ever even used it. So that means Trey probably used it, and it's, you know, out in the world somewhere. Or he put it in this drawer, which I find my wrenches kind of like I do my typing on the keyboard. Oh, there it is. Except for that's not the 13. Anyhow, I guess I'll be looking for a little bit here, or come up with a different plan to get the one valve cover bolt off that I can't get the ratchet on. Dang it. Ha! I'm gonna beat him at his own game. I'm stealing a 13 out of his toolbox. Oh, and I'm not gonna put it back. All right, so I finally got that whooped. The only, not really specialty, the only tool that maybe everybody wouldn't have is you need, this is what I use, there's probably other ways to do it. I don't know if you can even see in the sun here, but the back valve cover is way back in that corner, right on the corner. So I used a little swivel socket and a short extension, was able to get to it. Putting it back on ought to be fun, but I'm sure it can be done. So I think I got all the bolts loose. I'm gonna fire up the old air compressor one more time and just blow. Of course, I got a little more dust worked loose there, so we'll blow it off and pull that valve cover off and see what we find. All right, we got at least some of the dirt out of the way, and man, I had to, I could not get this finger to stop bleeding. I had to break out the first aid kit, which in my case, I went with the old black tape. I had to put a little pressure on there to keep her from look like a dang crime scene in here. Hopefully that'll calm her down. All right, let's see what kind of trouble we can cause trying to pull this bad boy off. It's definitely loose. Look at there. Didn't even knock a bunch of crap into it. All right, so, well, shucks. Pretty clean in there for 400 and some thousand. I don't see any obvious fires and whatnot, or shorts, wire shorts and whatnot. The thing that I don't like that I see, well, let's see, is that, that's just oil. So the thing I was hoping that the problem was, is this connector rattles loose right here, and there's some sort of trick you can put a quarter in there, but like I said, my brother-in-law's a diesel mechanic. He's obviously seen this before, and he's had this apart to put injectors in it, or I did glow plug once, I think he did glow plug once. And obviously, he put zip ties right here, which I'm assuming is the same thing as the old quarter to hold it together trick. So maybe I'm a little out of luck on this fix here. Let me do a little more research and see what I can find. All right, upon further inspection, I got my handy dandy little Milwaukee rechargeable light. I've talked about these in my videos before. This thing is badass. Anyways, link in bio if you're interested. Or link in description, I guess. Upon further inspection, once I got the light in there, and I don't know if it's going to show up on the video. See if I can find some place to magnetize that bad boy where it can actually do its job and you can see. I don't know. Anyways, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little bit of burny melty right here on this end of the connection. So I'm hoping that's the problem. So maybe instead of being able to fix this with a quarter, I might have to buy a new harness. I'm gonna try to pull it apart and see what I can find. All right, so here we are over on what's supposed to, well, it's supposed to be a workbench, but basically it's a place to put all my crap. I got the harness out of there. I got this connector apart, and we definitely got, I don't know how well that shows up on there. We definitely got a little melty. So I was hoping that this connector had just wiggled loose, and I just need to tighten it up, but I think I'm gonna need a new setup here. Like I said, it did have the zip ties on it. That might be a piece of zip tie right there. But those, although it was still together, those zip ties were pretty much, I pretty much just touched them. They've been in there so long. Like I see, I think that's a piece of zip tie. It just, I mean, just shatters like a piece of thin glass or something. So those probably weren't doing much. So maybe they looked intact on top, but they could have been broken a little, and maybe that allowed it to separate, which caused all this. I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I got to figure out. I don't know if this is a Ford only deal or if I can run down to Napa and get this. I'm hoping. But looks like I just need a new harness assembly and we'll be back in business. All right, so short update. Talked to my brother-in-law, the diesel mechanic. He says they do make these at Napa, but his recommendation is they're a little bit more of a throwaway part. He recommends the Ford replacement. So I'm headed into Ford right now. It's Saturday. They're there for about 20 more minutes. It takes me about 20 minutes to get there. So I'm going to skedaddle and go get some parts. All right, after a quick run to Ford to buy some parts, I stopped and grabbed some tacos to fill the belly. We're back at the shop to try to get this put back together. I may have said at the beginning of this video that I was going to fix this little problem for 25 cents because I thought I was going to use that little quarter trick, but that isn't really working out. So now my 25 cents has turned into, I don't know where that focus is, $236.23. So that's a little depressing. It's nice to have these extra shelves in here to set stuff on though. I need to put the hood back on this one so I got really more space I can really pile her up then. Anyways, so I got to take these two items, join them together so they look like that there item, and then put her back in the truck. I'm not sure, I watched a different video and they said these newer ones I don't need to really worry about doing the quarter trick. So I'll see how all this clamps together, and I'll see if it looks like I need to zip tie or somehow hold this together. I'll compare it to the other one. But let's get this thing back together, see if it works. All right, so this little setup, it looks exactly the same as this one. Now I heard in a video that the newer ones you don't need to worry about this, but about it coming apart. But to me, it looks like the same exact little setup. So I'm gonna try this old quarter trick. The other one had... Okay, of course my GoPro battery died while I was doing that. So like I said, this connection looks identical to this connection to me, so I don't know what the newer style is or if there's a different one, but I decided to try to do the quarter trick, and the battery died while I was doing it, but I'll explain what I did. So you can see the quarter in there, and basically what that's doing is just pressing this locking tab up tight against the retainer there, so there's no way it can come out of there. I had to kind of force it in there, and I really don't want to take it back out and show you again because I don't want to break the dang thing. But what I did is I put it together. Show you on here, I guess, if I can. So I clipped it together. This one won't even go all the way together because it's melted. And then I used a little tiny screwdriver to just pry up a touch right there on each side and get the quarter started in there. And then I was able to just force the quarter back in. And it's, I mean, I was telling my wife about this. She's like, really, you want a quarter in there? What if it rattles loose or something? But that's not coming loose. I mean, I guess it could, but it doesn't seem like it is going to come loose. I can't even, as hard as I push on one side or the other, I can't make it spin or turn. So anyways, there you go. That's my quarter that I thought I was going to spend to fix this one with, but I had to spend 230 bucks and a quarter. But hopefully this is going to solve the problem and get the old girl back on the road. So let's get back over to the truck, and I'll tell you what, I'll either film it all or I'll just run it in backwards of what I just did, and then we'll touch base again at the end. All right, I think after about the first 2 seconds of that time lapse, I tipped the camera down to where you can't see anything anyways. So that's good because you didn't want to see me struggle. It's pretty self-explanatory how this stuff goes, but maybe some of this done it more than, a time or two. It's pretty easy. I struggled a little bit trying to get the glow plug wires on, especially these back two. The back one was the hardest, and then I got it and I wasn't sure, so I pulled on it just a little bit and pulled it right off, and then I had to fight with it for another 5 minutes. But that's the hardest part. But if I can do it, you can do it. They're just kind of hard. You can't get your little sausage fingers in there to line them up, and they try to miss and whatever. So anyways, yeah, the glow plugs is pretty easy. Pretty obvious how those go. And then these little injector connectors just go in there, and the little clips are on. There's kind of some tabs or whatnot on the valve covers, so it's kind of a no-brainer. You can't get it in the wrong spot. They kind of fit into place, and I got it on there pretty good. Got a little dust back here. I'll just try to wipe that up real quick, and then we'll set the valve cover back in there. I don't know if there's anything else I should do while I'm in here. Everything looks pretty good and clean, considering I changed oil but once every 30,000 miles. It looks pretty good. Guess I'll keep that up. All right, so I wiped off the gasket surface, make sure that's clean or mostly clean or cleanish. It's pretty clean. Did the same thing. The valve cover, cleaned the mating surface. I double checked all my connections to make sure all the clips are closed, and I know all my glow plugs are pressed, the fittings or the wires are pressed on good. So we should be good to go. Well, you know, we should be good to go if we weren't. In case you're wondering, it will fit on there upside down. Not very well, but it will. Hey, let's try it this way. Yes. All right, that's much better. Alright, so I don't know if I needed to, but I had to take that big electrical connector back there apart. So I disconnected the battery, or batteries, because there's two in here. So I always like to take advantage of, took them apart, they were looking pretty nasty. Still not the best, but I got my little battery brush cleaner guy here, so I spin that around on there a little bit both ways. It's got a little wire brush in there, it's pretty cool. It's probably made in the USA, so it must be old. And then use the other end to kind of clean out in here, and then I just used a wire brush and kind of scrubby. I should probably disconnect all of them and do that, but I'm not that motivated. Unfortunately, I do have one issue over here, is when I took this one apart, well, it didn't work out very good for me. So I got to get either a new end, or probably just goes down to the blocks. Probably better just to get a new wire so it's got a good factory end and stuff on it. So I gotta fix that, but I'm gonna hook the one battery up. I'll have that one touching so it'll pretend like it's grounding, just to start it up and see if it's gonna work. So we'll be back for that in just a second. And we're back. I think I have most things buttoned up, all my tools picked up and moved out of the way. No guarantees, but I don't see anything else. This is literally every tool I use to do this job. So it just takes simple tools and you can do it yourself. So moment of truth, let's go see what happens when you turn the old key. So I only got one battery hooked up, but well, the other one's touching. It should fire. Wait for all the magical wizard buttons to do their stuff. We got the glow plug light. Away she goes. Here we go. So far so good. We'll give her a minute, because like I said before, it was running good for 20-30 seconds, a minute or so, depending on which time you did it. But it's even smoother now than it was when it was running okay. It still seemed like it was bumping around a little bit, and now she's pretty smooth. I think you know, by golly, I think we fixed it. Too bad it didn't cost 25 cents, but still, 230 bucks, and the truck's back in service. I can take her back to work. Got some hunting seasons coming up, bear hunting seasons coming up and stuff, so good to have the truck back. All right, we'll get cleaned up here, and we'll take her on a test drive just to make sure everything's hunky-dory, but I think we're good. All right, so just cleaning up my mess, putting tools away from the little Powerstroke project there. And I know I said I wasn't gonna do it, but I'm gonna do the right thing and put my kid's 13mm back in his toolbox, even though he doesn't care about putting mine back. Actually, I talked to him. He said he doesn't remember using it, so it was probably me. Stuff walks away, disappears. I'm not the best at putting stuff away either, but I still think it was probably him. You came here to learn how to fix your Powerstroke that's running rough. I know I didn't probably really teach you how to do it, but I wanted to show you that if you got enough, you know, if you're taking the initiative to Google on YouTube how to fix it, once you find the information, it's really not that hard, at least in this case. Simple hand tools and a half day's worth of work. And I had to go buy some parts, but you might get away with just, it could just be that clip coming apart in there and do that little quarter trick and you're back on the road. So anyways, test drive time. Well, hey, this isn't sounding good. Let's wait for the glow plugs. I guess I really only have one battery connected, and maybe that's an issue. Apparently that's an issue. All right, I made sure the other negative battery terminal was at least touching. See if that makes any difference. Apparently these things need 2 batteries to crank over very good. We'll keep our ride short and probably not shut it off. When I was little or younger, it doesn't work anymore, but my dad used to always tell me, just always park on a hill and you don't need a starter, because I always drove junk. 4-speed junk, so you could, you know, pop start it or whatever. Don't work so good at this thing, but good advice. Hey, she's still idling so far. Ooh, there's an old 58-ish, I think. Had 2 headlights. I don't know those years expertly, but nice old truck. Seen it come through the neighborhood a couple times. I think it's pretty new though. I've just been seeing it recently. All right, here we go. Probably should get one of them fancy windshield mount things, but if it's anything else like all the other GoPro stuff, it probably costs $147 for a little piece of plastic. So just bob your head with the vibration, it'll look smooth. Yep. By golly, like I said, I think we fixed her. Now it's got 417,466.8 miles on it, so any second now something else could catastrophically fail, and it probably will. So, you know, always got to be ready for that. But until then, I guess we'll keep on running her down the road. All right, so there you have it. Just got done the test drive. Damn you. As I was saying before being so rudely interrupted by the compressor, the old Ford, she's back on the road. That old thing, it's a 2002. It's got, like I said, 417,000 miles on it. I bought it in November of 2002 for like $19,000. It's been a pretty good old truck. I mean, other than glow plugs a couple times, you know, the usual brakes and tires and stuff like that, I've had no major problems with it. It's only left me stranded on the side of the road one time, and that was just because of a starter. And we couldn't get her to fire. I got a tow to the nearest town, replaced the starter, and away we went. So it's been a good truck. If you watch the channel, you know I'm a Chevy guy. Everything else around here is Chevy. Well, that piece of crap new truck back there is GMC. It's not a piece of crap. I like it, but I'm a Chevy guy. But that old Ford, my brother-in-law, the diesel mechanic, he recommended I buy that when I was looking for a work truck. You know, I haul a lot of weight being a tile guy, and it's just been a great truck. And I hope I can keep lugging her along for a few more years just for working and getting out in the woods. And so that's a wrap on this video. Thanks again for watching. If you're the regular guys, I know this was a little different than usual, but I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll try to, when I got to fix something, I figure I might as well see if I can help somebody out, so we'll record it. But we'll get back to working on these things. And then if you talk to my son, his theory is, now that I got the Ford running, he can scoot back and forth in school in that, and then that way we can pull that thing in here and get to work on it some more. So that could happen too. So you're probably going to see some square body work and paint coming up. And then, like I said, 55 is coming along. I got a couple small projects on the 57, so there's no shortage of work to do. So stay tuned, and we will do some of that. I will have an update on the DD Speed Shop 57 real soon. I may have just made a purchase that will go with that is going to affect the trajectory of that car once it arrives here at Montana Garage. So stay tuned here and my other social media outlets. If you check Instagram, I posted a little something about that today. It won't be today when you see this, but a few days ago. You know how it works. Anyways, thanks again for watching. Hit the like button if you feel like it. Subscribe if you haven't. Tell a friend. We're still going to try to give something cool away at 5,000 subscribers. And I'm going to keep on trying to get better at doing this video thing. And hopefully you guys will keep watching. Later.